Hey everybody. So in this quick hit video, we're going to talk about the Books platform. What I'm going to spend some time talking about today is the split screen view and the reading notes. These are very powerful tools, especially for research and trying to deep dive into something you may be working on or may be reading. But there's a nuance here, and there's something that I think is very important when you're going to be using these tools. And we're also going to look at just what type of a size device you need to maximize this specific use case. Unlike some platforms which allow you to quick switch between two document types on a smaller format screen, Books has its own approach to that. Maybe sometimes a little bit cumbersome about that is the way it's handled. But once you get used to it in your workflow, it's really a powerful tool. So we'll look at the strengths and limitations, and we'll do that pretty quickly in this video. So let's go ahead and jump on over. I have the Go 10.3 here on the left, Note Max on the right. And the reason I've got both of these, and we'll switch over, and I'm going to go with the Note Max for the majority of this demo on the split screen. But I wanted to reinforce just the size difference between these devices and why I think that really, if you want to make the best use of split screen, you're going to want to do that with something like the Note Max. Primarily because if you cut this screen in half, you're looking at a dimension that's pretty much smaller than the palm. So if you're trying to take half the screen and have a PDF on one side and have your notes on the other, probably the notes are the better part of that experience, but the reading and really being able to understand the immersion are going to get lost a little bit between the two. So for right now, what we're going to do is we're going to move the Go 10.3 out of the way, and I'm going to focus on the Note Max. With this type of workflow, I personally think you're going to want something the size of the Note Max or the Tab XC if that's your preferred tablet because you may need color. Those two devices, I think, are going to give you the best possible experience of this functionality. There are two ways that you can create this type of note. One is straight from a document. So let's go into the Adventures of Sherlock Holmes here, and you'll see we're on the Red-Headed League. It's a fabulous short story written by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. Absolutely love it. What we're going to do here is, let's say we're only taking notes on the Red-Headed League and nothing else. We're not doing anything else in another document. We're not trying to quick switch or any of that. What we're going to do is press in the middle, and that's going to pull up your Neo Reader options. And right here at the bottom, you're going to see split view. And when we press that, what's going to happen is it's going to say, would you like it to be vertical or horizontal? I default to horizontal. It's just all a matter of preference. This is how I want it to look. And then I want it to be, you can do two documents side by side, or you can do the current document. You can do another document side by side, a handwritten, a text note, or translation. So a lot of options here. One thing about the Neo Reader is you're never not going to have an option. I'm going to say I want handwritten notes. Now I have very readable text over here on the left, and I can drag this. I can make one bigger than the other if I want to. My toolbar gets pretty small, but still plenty functional. I don't use the toolbar a lot, and I get the full functionality of taking handwritten notes. I can say, here is a great opening about this story. And apologies in advance for my handwriting since I'm writing at an angle. It gets a little discombobulated. Now, caveat here, unlike something where you're clipping and writing about a specific passage and have an automatic link back to the page, here you have to manually create that. So if I want to remember that this is from page 1, I'll have to say it's from page 1. But it's also a bit trickier than that as well, because is this really page 1? Or is this part of page 1? So you've got to be pretty careful there. But what you can do from here as well is I can press and hold, and then I always have a little bit of trouble with the handlebars on the books. They're not as user friendly, I think, for me anyway, as I would like them to be. But I can go ahead and drag down and say that I want to go ahead and copy this. And now I want to insert it over here into my document. So I can go ahead and say paste. And now if I press here, I can move this over and then I can do some formatting components or other things. Now I want to make sure probably that I know what page I'm on. And it says I'm on page 61 out of 505. So I'll say page 61. And now I've got some notes, I've got some copied and pasted text, and I have a page number. It's a really good way to take notes if you're in one document. Okay, so now we've gone ahead and made that short little note. Now here's where it gets interesting with books. You're not going to see that note I just took here on the notes page. The reason for that is because whenever you create a note from a document, that reading note goes into a special section, which you can still create folders at, but it's now tied directly to that note. So if I go into that document another time and I open my reading note, it's going to go back to that same reading note. In some ways, that's very functional. It creates that hyperlink between the two things. But again, you don't get the normal page flow. It's much better for like just summarizing an entire document because otherwise you try to duplicate pages within notes and it just gets real cumbersome. This is great if you're working one document at a time, one book at a time, and you're wanting to make sure that those two stay together all the time. However, if you wanted to use multiple sources, this is the way that I would suggest to do that. I will go into create a new handwritten note. I've got my default template. We're going to go ahead and call this split test. And one thing that Books does exceptionally well, better, I think, than most other platforms, is recognizing titles. So when I go and I put split test, it's going to know that I want both of the words capitalized, and it's going to do that right. That's a huge upside. A lot of the handwriting recognition in titles or in these text boxes tends to want to only capitalize the first letter or first word. And then you have to go back and fiddle with it a little bit to do it the right way. And then I do like that they give you several tools here because these are really important grammatical pieces and quick movement pieces that still have plenty of room to write, but you can easily add in those quick little punctuation marks hit create. And now we have our note. Here's where I find the split screen the most valuable. I do my swipe down, and here you see split screen. And this global split screen is probably one of the best features that you can have on a Books device. Because from here, if I press that split screen, it asks me, do I want horizontal or do I want vertical? And then which way do I want it to go? When it opens, it's got my notes here on this side, and then I can pick from whatever I want over here. So I can open a new app, I can open books, I can open a web browser, I can put absolutely anything I want over here on this right-hand side, which is really awesome. So now I can go back to Sherlock Holmes, and then I can go ahead and start taking my notes. Here is another note. Let's say that I want to change that. I can always go back out of this, pull down, and if there's a quicker way to switch to just a different app, let me know. And I can set I want it to be in horizontal mode. I go ahead and do that again. And then now what I want to do, let's say that I want to go and open a web browser. Let's just open Neo browser. And now here I am in my Kindle library. And let's say it's anything that I want to do over here. I get all the functionality of being able to look through my Neo browser or my Chrome browser or whatever, and say I want to just start researching books that I might want to look at later. I've seen this movie coming up, Mary, so I may say, think about Hail Mary. And I could, if I wanted to, say Amazon and notate that. The idea is huge opportunity to do all of these things from all of these different sources, all within one research note. Remember, you're going to have to notate where they're from. You're going to have to manually copy in any links that you want to be able to link out to. Just a few extra things you have to do, page numbers, that kind of stuff. This is probably, in my opinion, the most powerful research tool available to you in books. Now, would I recommend folks doing that on a small device like the 10.3? Absolutely not. Wouldn't even think about it. I just don't think it's the best way to handle it. Again, personal preference. It depends on you, your use case, what you're trying to do. But to me, this is a very useful tool. Let's go ahead and jump back over. We'll wrap this up. Thanks for hanging in there with me on this one to give you an idea of how I would use these devices. This one has been covered a few times as far as the split screen, but I wanted to put my little bit of a spin on it and really talk about the difference between those reading notes and just using the split screen globally, because I think that's a huge distinction that needs to be made. If you're doing research on one book or you have one source and you want to deeply dive into that and have all of those notes connected with that source, recognizing that you have to manually put in the page numbers so that you can go back and find those reference components, the reading note is phenomenal for that. I think it's probably one of the best things out there. But if you're using multiple sources and you want to have kind of a cohesive notebook that deals with all of those different sources, including adding in links to those sources and adding in those page numbers. Again, a little bit of a manual process, but well worth it for what you might be trying to do. And you cannot beat the global split screen that you're going to get with the BOOX platform for that type of a workflow. Now, there's going to be a lot of people out there that are going to say the Supernote Digest is better. It's better for this type of research. And I would agree for academic research where you're dealing with multiple citations and different notes and different snippets of text. Yes. But if you're just summarizing your thoughts, pulling a few quotes from here or there, using it to pull in things that may be static or that you may not need to put into multiple different notes, this is an excellent process. If you know that all your information is going to be contained in one note, even if it's from multiple sources, this is a great way to do that. Thank you again. Let me know if you find these valuable down in the comments. But until next time, thank you all so much. Keep moving forward, and I will see you in the next one. Bye now.